Hello, and welcome to my channel, Knotty Gnome Crafts. My name is Sarah, and you can find me as Knotty Gnome on Instagram. Whether you are a new or returning viewer, thank you so much for joining me today, and it's time for another Friday Sews. In today's video, I have two finished objects to show you. I have a possibly cursed dress that I am working on. I have a little bit of knitting progress, and then at the end of the video, I actually need your help. I have some unloved me-mades that I need your help figuring out what I should do with them. But before we get started with the video, I just want to share what I'm wearing. Today I am wearing my Fiber Mood Elisa shirt, and I've made this pattern twice. This is the first one that I've made, and the fabric was an Echo Vera satin that I got from D&H Fabrics. I actually don't love this fabric. It was my mistake when I ordered it online. I didn't realize it was a satin, and I don't love this shininess. But surprisingly, I have actually worn this shirt quite a few times since I've made it. And I think it's just the simple polka dot pattern in black. It just goes with a lot of things. And I'm just wearing it with some ready-to-wear jeans. So let's just get started with my finished objects. The first thing that I finished from last week was the Lauren Handmade Hunter tank. And I made it out of a leftover piece of white linen. I had made a Palermo top from the book So Beautiful, and I had roughly a little bit less than a yard of fabric left. And so I was able to squeeze out this tank top. It's cut on the bias and it has bust darts, and then it has these pieces down here that you tie at the front, and the edges are finished with bias binding, both the armholes and the neckline. And I made the size 8. A lot of the Lauren Handmade patterns come with cup sizes, but this must be one of her earlier patterns because it does not. And I sewed it up and tried it on, and there is quite a lot of excess fabric. When you tie it at the waist, it kind of bubbles up a little bit. And so I'm thinking I probably should have done a small bust adjustment. So if I make this tank again, I know better for next time, but I'll still wear this. I think that it's going to be a wonderful basic for summer that will go with so many things in my wardrobe, with high-waisted jeans or shorts or high-waisted skirts. And I'm really glad that I have this top to add to my wardrobe. The second finished thing I have to share with you is also a Lauren Handmade pattern. If you watched my Friday Sews last week, you will know that I went on a little pattern buying binge, and I bought several of her designs from when there was a sale. And so sometimes I think that when I go on one of these pattern binges, I feel like I should sew up one or two of the patterns right away so that I can justify in my head that I bought all of the patterns. So that's just what I ended up doing. So the second thing that I made from Lauren Handmade is the Sorel dress. And it is a shirt dress that I made with this Rifle Paper Company quilting cotton. And these buttons are from Joanne. They were just in my stash. And this pattern does come with cup sizes. I made the size 8 with a B cup, and the only alteration that I made was I shortened the skirt by 4 inches. The design features of this is it has a little grown-on cap sleeve. It's hard to see the details because of the print, but it has grown-on cap sleeves, and the kind of the star of the show is this little fold-back collar. And then it has some pleating at the waist on both the bodice and the skirt. It has inseam pockets. And the shape of the skirt is just kind of a gentle A-line. So I really, really love this dress. This honestly might be one of my favorite dresses that I've ever made. I love Rifle Paper Company so much, and I love a good shirt dress. And I just feel like the combination of the print and the style is just really wonderful, and the fit is good on me. I just loved making this dress so much that I actually want to make another one. And for me, It's extremely rare for me to repeat patterns, and especially something like a dress, because I feel like dresses are pretty unique things in my closet. And if I make a pattern, I feel like, do I really need another dress in this style? But I actually do want to make a second sorrel dress eventually out of black linen, because I just think that that would be the perfect dress for summer, that you can wear casually or dress it up. And I also got the idea in my head that I want to buy all of the Rifle Paper Company quilting cottons, the prints that I love, and just make a series of shirt dresses out of them. I generally don't like using quilting cotton for garments, but I think that a shirt dress is kind of an exception to that rule. I think that a lot of times when you need something that's just a little bit more structured, like the quilting cotton was a good choice for the sorrel dress, because you need the structure to hold the collar. So I think it was a good match for that. And yeah, I'm just picturing all the pretty floral shirt dresses. Now, there was one thing about the pattern that I found confusing and didn't like, and that is that there are technically two views of the sorrel dress, but I couldn't figure out what the difference was between the two. In the line drawings, there's two dresses, and like once I stared at them and figured out what the actual difference was, like, I could see the line drawings and be like, oh yeah, now I get it. But just looking at the line drawings, it's not that obvious what the difference is. It does not tell you in the description like view A has this and view B has that. And so I don't understand why she didn't make it clear in her description and in the line drawings like what the difference between the two views was. So it turns out that the difference is one of the versions has a separate button band piece that you sew on, and the version that I made, version 2, has a fold over placket, so you do not have a separate button band piece. And I'm assuming that the reason she did that was if you were using a directional print like a stripe or a plaid, that you could perhaps cut the button band piece on the bias or something to have a little different design flair, which is fine. It's fine to have two different views, but I just feel like that should have been made clear in the description, because I ended up having to comb through the instructions like step by step until I figured out what the actual difference was between versions 1 and 2. And you really need to know that, because when you're cutting out the pieces, the pattern pieces like share the same, like the fronts are the same. It just says like cut here for view 1, cut here for view 2. And you need to know what the difference is before you cut your pattern out. So that was my really only complaint about the pattern. Otherwise, the instructions were good. It was drafted really well. It went together pretty easily. And yeah, I'm really happy with it. Okay, so let's move on to my current work in progress, which is my quite potentially cursed dress. I am making Simplicity S8875. I saw a version of this dress on Lucy of So Essential, and I've also seen some versions on Instagram, and I just think that it's such a lovely dress. So pretty and elegant and perfect for spring and summer. And you can see the back of the line drawings here. So I am making version B, which is the one the model is wearing with the short pleated sleeves, and it's kind of a midi length. And so let me go into all of the things that have gone wrong while I've been working on this pattern. So first of all, I'm using this rayon crepe that I got from fabric.com. It's supposed to be a navy background with flowers on it. I would say that this is much more black. If it is navy blue, it's extremely dark navy blue, and it's basically indistinguishable from being black. So the first thing that went wrong with this was that I ordered this fabric specifically online to make this dress. And when it arrived, it just wasn't what I was expecting when I saw it online. And I just didn't really like the print as much as I thought I was going to when I bought it. I still think that it's nice, but it's just not as pretty as I was expecting. So that was kind of a mild disappointment. More importantly, the second thing that went wrong is that I bought 2.5 yards, because that is what the pattern envelope says that you need for my size. And I did not have enough fabric to cut out this dress. So I shortened the skirt by 3 inches, which is not a whole lot, but it is a little bit. And I knew going into the project that because I'm 4'9", I was very likely gonna have to shorten the dress a little bit at least. And typically when I buy fabric, if I buy the amount that the pattern envelope says, that is plenty of fabric. I usually end up with way more left over. And so I figured I'd be safe because I knew I'd need to shorten it, just getting what the envelope said. Now this is a rayon fabric, and so I suspect what may have happened is that it might have, there might have been shrinkage in the wash. I'm guessing maybe that's what happened, I don't know. But when I went to lay out my pattern pieces, I used the cutting layout in the pattern, which I normally don't do. And in fact, like, that ends up being such a disaster most of the time that I think I'm just gonna stop using the cutting layouts because it just never seems to work out for me. But anyway, I did use the cutting layout the way that they say to put the fabric or put the pieces on the fabric, and I could not squeeze out all of the pieces that I needed on the 2.5 yards. The only way that I was able to make it work is that I had to shorten the width of the ruffle. So on the pattern envelope, there's a separate ruffle piece here. There's 2 pieces on the front and 2 pieces on the back. And the only way I was able to make it work was to shorten the back ruffle width by 4 inches. And otherwise I just was not gonna be able to cut out my fabric. So I did that. I have not yet put the ruffle on the dress, but I'm hoping that because it is gathered that it's not gonna make a huge difference. But otherwise, I wasn't gonna be able to squeeze out the fabric. I don't even think that I had enough fabric to cut an additional ruffle piece that I could have seamed on, like the extra 4 inches that I could have just seamed on to make the ruffle the correct width with an extra seam. I didn't have enough fabric to do that either, so that was pretty crazy. So that was, it was a mess, but I eventually got it cut out. Then the next thing that went wrong is, so this, as I said, this is a rayon crepe. I don't think I've ever used rayon crepe before. I have used wool crepe, and from what I can remember, I didn't like wool crepe either, but I don't think that I'm a big fan of crepe in general. I was, pinning something and getting ready to sew, and I had like a little hangnail on my finger, and it snagged the fabric like this. I just kind of brushed my fingertip up against the fabric, and this great big pull just came out, and I was just like, oh man, so that was super annoying. This fabric is extremely easy to snag. I'm a little bit worried anytime I have to use the seam ripper because it's just so easy to pull out the fibers of the fabric as well as the threads. So be warned if you use rayon crepe to be extra, it's super sensitive, so just be gentle with it. So that wasn't going great. And then I'm, sewing along, I'm prepping to put in the zipper. So I realized that there was a hole in my fabric. So the sad thing is that I remember now when I bought the fabric and it came in the mail, I bought a bunch of fabrics all at once. And so I'm going through them, serging the ends and getting ready to wash them. And I do remember now that I realized at the time that there was a hole in this fabric. And I made a mental note oh, when I go to sew this fabric, I need to remember there's a hole in it. Of course, I didn't actually remember. So it's note to self, next time I find a flaw in a fabric that I buy, I need to do something mark it in some way so that I can remember when I go back to use it that there's a problem. Because I totally forgot that there was a problem until it was too late. So anyway, I'm sewing along, and there was a hole in the back skirt. At first I thought it was the front skirt, but it just turns out that I was confused and it's actually in the back skirt, which is helpful. I will insert some photos of what the hole looked like. Fortunately, it was not a large hole, but it was probably about a ½ inch all the way around. There was a hole, and I looked up some tutorials on YouTube of how to machine darn a hole. And so I happen to have some sticky wash away stabilizer in my stash from when I did embroidery, and so I just used some of that to patch the hole. Here's what it looks like on the back, and this white part is just going to wash away. There is also a layer of fabric as well that will stay, but the stiff part will wash away. And then on the front, it's not super noticeable, especially because this is the back of the skirt. I don't think that from far away, anybody's gonna know that there's a hole in my dress. So that was super annoying. And I will link the tutorial that I used so that if you ever run into this problem, you can look it up. It was a Threads magazine tutorial and it was very helpful. So yeah, so I had to fix that. And I think so far, that's all the things that have gone wrong. Right now, I am in the process of installing my invisible zipper, my navy invisible zipper, because as I said, I thought this fabric was navy and it's actually black. Oh yeah, when I hold the camera up, you can see what the color difference is, but hopefully, hopefully it won't show too much from the front. Normally, I would not stop in the middle of doing a step, like I would have installed the zipper and then shot my video, but my husband just ran out to do some work, and because he's not here, it's just easier and less nerve-rattling to film when no one else is in the house. So that's why I just stopped what I was doing and went ahead and decided to put this video together. But anyway, despite all of the issues that I'm having, I think that, hoping on all the rest of it goes well, I do like this dress. I think that it's going to be beautiful when it's done. And it actually, for all the issues that I'm having, it's actually a relatively simple dress to put together. It looks complicated, but yeah, the steps of actually putting it together is relatively simple. One thing I will say about this pattern, other than if you decide to make it, buy extra fabric, but one thing that I thought was weird about the instructions is that the instructions just say, install invisible zipper according to the manufacturer's instructions. And I just thought that that was weird, that they don't even try to tell you how to install the zipper. I am using a tutorial from Sew Essential to install my zipper, and I've used it a few times before, so I will link that as well in case it helps you. But I just thought it was weird that like Simplicity is just not even trying anymore. They're just like, yeah, just look up how to put in a zipper, just do it yourself. And I'm like, okay, well, thank you for your instruction that you provide. So anyway, that is the project that I am working on. Hopefully, now that I've talked about all of my issues, it won't be cursed anymore, and I'll be able to show you a finished dress next week. So it's been a little while since I've shown you my progress on my sweater knitting project that I've been working on since last September. It's from this book, Vintage Knits by Sarah Dallas. This is one of the very first knitting books that I ever bought. I believe it was published in 2002, and I am making the diamond stitch sweater, which is just a short sleeve, very simple pullover. And I'm almost done with the knitting. So I'm up to the second sleeve, and I'm actually working on the cap decreases. So I really am almost done with the knitting part. The reason I say I'm done with the knitting part but not actually done with the sweater is that after I finish the knitting, then I will need to go back and weave in all of these ends. And because I alternated 3 skeins, I basically have 3 times as many ends to weave in. And weaving in ends is probably my least favorite part. So I gotta deal with all the ends. I need to block it, I need to seam it, I need to weave in those ends, and then I need to block it again. And then I'll have a finished sweater. So at the rate that I'm going, it's probably still gonna be like another month before I actually have a finished sweater, but I am getting closer to the finish line, which is nice. And it's really good because I'm pretty tired of this to the point where I don't even want it anymore, but I just want it off the needles. So that is my knitting progress for this week. So the last thing I have to talk to you about today is earlier this week, I did go ahead and do a closet clean out. So I took everything out of my closet, piled it on the bed, went through everything. I ended up getting rid of about like a kitchen trash size bag of clothing. I've already donated that. And I also have a basket that is full of garments that need to be altered in some way. So some of them are just, whether they're ready to wear or me made, they're just simple fixes, like I need to hem some things, just little things like that. So I'm not going to show you those things, but I also have a few garments here that I want to share with you that need to be changed in some way, but I don't quite know what to do. So let me show you some of those garments. This is a 100% linen skirt, and I shared it during Me May. I did wear it. It's a simple elastic waist gathered skirt with pockets. It's about a midi length. And I finally decided to remove this from my wardrobe because I just don't like it. I don't like the style on me. When I was doing my closet clean out, I actually tried this on with several different tops to see if I could find a look that I liked. I tried tucking it in a tank top. I tried wearing just a t-shirt with like a little knot on the side. I tried like a button-up shirt. I tried a lot of different garments, and I just could not find an outfit with this skirt that I liked. It was all just sort of like, I mean, I guess this is okay, but I just didn't like it. So I put it in the donation bag, and I was like literally taking the bag out to the car, and the last second I pulled the skirt out and I kept it. And the reason that I did that is not because I like the skirt, because I clearly don't like it, but I like the fabric. Like, you know how linen, it needs to age, like it needs to have time to be washed and worn and dried, and then it gets that like soft texture and it's drapey, and like I have owned this skirt since 2017 and it has achieved that perfect worn in linen feeling. And I just really like the fabric, and like there's quite a bit of fabric in this skirt. Like these were just rectangles that I sewed together. So I was thinking that because I am on the smaller side of the sizing spectrum, I should be able to squeeze out a cropped tank top from this fabric. I'm guessing I would have to add like contrast facings or bindings, but I think like just cutting out a front and a back, I should have enough fabric to do that. So my question for you guys is, do you have a favorite cropped tank top pattern that would be good for linen? I actually don't really have a lot of woven tank top patterns. I do have the new look pattern that was in my plans video. Let me just grab that real quick. I have this woven shell that I could use, but I'm just interested if anybody has ideas for other woven tank tops that you might like that would be good for this linen. I would love your suggestions. Okay, so the next thing on the list is, this was a Sewaholic Renfrew T-shirt that I made in 2018, and it's made out of a bamboo jersey, which is beautiful, drapey, and soft. And I never wear this t-shirt, I think because at the time that I made it, I was wearing more oversized things, and so I think I sized up in this, and it was always just felt like it was too big. It didn't feel like I wanted it to be, which is just, you know, like that gracefully oversized look. It just seemed like it was too big. And so I never wore it, or I rarely wore it. And this fabric basically looks brand new because I just haven't worn it. So I originally thought that maybe I would just cut off the sleeves and make it into a short sleeve t-shirt, but I actually already own a linen red and white striped t-shirt that's ready to wear that I really like. And so I don't need two short sleeve red and white t-shirts. So I was thinking about potentially making this into a tank top. And I don't know, because I'm not in love with this neckline, I don't know if I will like preserve the neckline and, you know, kind of cut around to make the tank top that way, or if I have enough fabric even that I could just cut a new tank top out of it. But again, I'm not sure. What do you think that I should do with this? Because yeah, it just seems a shame to waste the lovely fabric, but I also don't know if maybe this just isn't worth it and I should just donate it and get it out of my life. So yeah, let me know what you think, if this is worth salvaging into a tank top or if I should do something else with it. The next item is this Style Sew Me Lisa loungewear top. I have a matching pair of wide leg pants that out of the same fabric, if that helps you make your decision. The reason that I want to refashion this one is that it's meant to be off the shoulder, and I just do not like off the shoulder tops. I tried it, I just don't like it. The thing that I'm unsure about this one is because I think that there's a lot of fabric here. I could probably pretty easily make it into some sort of t-shirt or tank top. The issue that I have with this is that it is a French terry. This is a lightweight rayon French terry, and it's not super warm or anything, but because it is a French terry, I was kind of thinking that like a tank top in French terry might be like too warm or just weird. So let me know if you've ever made any warm weather garments out of French terry and if that worked for you, because I do really like this fabric and I still like the pants. And yeah, I think that if I made it into some sort of tank that I would wear it more. I'm just not sure about the weight of the fabric and whether that's going to be too hot. So I would love to know your thoughts on this type of lightweight French terry and whether it's all weather appropriate. So this next one, I'm actually pretty sad about. I made the Megan Nielsen Banksia blouse out of this rayon challis that I got from D&H Fabrics. It's an absolutely beautiful ditzy floral that's has a red background with blue and peach and white flowers. And there's a couple things that I don't like about this top. One thing was I used a leftover piece of rayon batiste to make the collar, and it like stretched out of shape in a weird way, and so the collar is wonky. Don't love that. But the main thing about this that keeps me from wearing it is that I had the original paper pattern when Megan Nielsen released it, I don't know, like back in 2012 or something. And I'm just gonna be 100% honest here. I think that it's not a good pattern. And I do think that she's updated it since then and that the new drafted version is better, but the version that I made that she released way back in the day, it's just not a good pattern. The problem is that the armhole and the sleeve is symmetrical, so it's the same on the front and the back. And this is a fitted top. It's not meant to be super oversized. So when I wear it, it's extremely uncomfortable in the arm side because it's not shaped correctly to actually fit your arm. So it's hard to move. There's a lot of bunchy fabric underneath the arm. It's just very, very uncomfortable. And like, in my personal opinion, she never should have released that version of this top. She probably should have just waited until she did the updated version that was drafted properly to fit a human being. That's just my opinion. But anyway, I have this top. I love the fabric. It makes me super sad that I feel like I wasted this beautiful fabric on a shirt that I can't wear. What I was thinking about doing with this one, and I would love your opinion, is Tilly and the Buttons had released a free collar piece. It's just like a separate collar that ties at the neck. You can wear it over t-shirts or plain like blouses with crew necks, and you can just add a little detail. I'll try to insert a photo of the collar. And I was thinking I probably have enough fabric to make one of those collars. I will admit that after I made the Mallory McCall's top that has the giant like portrait collar thing, that I was scared off of big collars for a little while. But I think that the Tilly and the Buttons free pattern is not super huge. It's just like a little like accent Peter Pan collar. And I was thinking that I could make one of those to kind of salvage this beautiful fabric and still be able to wear it, just not in shirt form. So let me know what you think of that idea. I mean, obviously this being a print, I can't wear it with just anything, but I was kind of thinking that it would be cute layered over just like a white crew neck t-shirt, just things like that. So I would love to know your thoughts on what I could do with this. If you have any other alternative ideas that I might try as far as salvaging this, because it is really, really pretty fabric, and I'm a little bit gutted about it. So the last edit that I have to show you is the one that makes me the most sad, and it is my True Bias Shelby dress made out of this rayon linen slub that I got from Style Maker Fabrics, and it is fully lined on the inside. I tried to fix this dress because the hem was uneven, and I ended up trimming off too much, and now the dress is too short. I wore it one day in the month of May, and it does not pass the arm test. When I hold up my arms, my rear end hangs out the bottom, so it is completely not appropriate to be wearing out in public. And I'm just so sad about it because I love this dress. I love that it's white. I definitely want to make another Shelby dress at some point. What I was thinking that I might try to do with this is turn it into a peplum top. I'm pretty sure that True Bias has a hack on her blog that you can just turn the Shelby dress into a peplum top. So I was thinking maybe I might take a look at that and see if there's anything that I could do to kind of hack this to make it something similar. I do think I'm gonna have some issues perhaps with the buttonholes, like, you know, where I can cut it off where it doesn't look weird. And then I'd have to go back in and remove the ties from the back, probably. But yeah, I'm just so sad about this. I love this dress so much, but I just can't wear it the way that it is. So I would like to know from you guys, have you ever done something similar where if you had a dress that just wasn't working for you, have you ever hacked it off into a top, and were you happy with how that worked out? I don't know. This was one of those things that like I just couldn't put it in the donation bin, but I was also like, I'm never gonna wear this again. I would really like to find a way to make this work somehow. So those are all of the pieces from my closet clean out that I would like to alter in some way to keep them in my wardrobe. And thank you so much for joining me today. I hope that you've enjoyed spending time with me, and I will see you next week.